Have you ever felt caught between wonder and doubt? Trapped between what your eyes see and what your heart wants to believe? This is a story about that feeling. It's the story of a man whose name became synonymous with doubt, but whose life became a testament to faith. This is the story of Thomas. Our journey begins on a dusty road under a blistering sun. A young man, Thomas, walks toward the Jordan River. The air is thick with heat, the ground parched. Ahead, a crowd has gathered, their murmurs lost in the thundering voice of a man named John the Baptist. Thomas stops, leaning on his staff. He watches as another man, Jesus, steps into the river. The water shines like liquid gold. As Jesus emerges, a strange feeling stirs in Thomas, a mix of awe and a deep, unsettling skepticism. His hand, calloused from work, trembles. Then, Jesus turns. For a fleeting moment, their eyes meet across the swirling dust. In that silence, a call hangs in the air, heavy and undeniable. Thomas's breath catches. His journey has just begun. He joins the others, following this enigmatic teacher from Nazareth. But he keeps his distance, always a few steps behind, his brow furrowed in thought. He watches Jesus, a constant question mark hanging over him. Who is this man? By the fire at night, while the other disciples sleep, Thomas mends his cloak, his eyes flicking toward Jesus, who prays alone in the darkness. He sees the devotion of the others, hears their easy belief, but a wall of questions stands tall in his own mind. He longs to understand, to feel the certainty that seems to escape him. He watches Jesus heal a sick woman, sees her collapse in tears of gratitude, and his own mouth falls open. Disbelief and wonder collide within him. The world feels ancient, immense, and full of mysteries he can't yet grasp. That night, tending a small flame, he whispers into the darkness. Who is this man? The firelight dances in his eyes, reflecting both a growing devotion and a deep-seated fear. He learns to work alongside the fishermen, hauling heavy nets from the Sea of Galilee. One evening, exhausted, his arms aching, he looks up to see Jesus standing on the shore, calm and commanding. A shiver runs through him. Later, as they share a meal, Jesus breaks bread. Thomas hesitates. He takes a piece, and it crumbles between his fingers. He feels a reverence he can't explain, but it's tangled with that restless doubt. It's the first flicker of the man history would remember, the doubter, the one who needed proof. As they travel, the mood shifts. Word spreads that Jerusalem is a place of danger. A heavy sky hangs over them as they walk through fields of golden grass. Thomas looks to the horizon, his jaw tight with fear. The wind whips his cloak around him. Then, Jesus speaks of his coming death. The disciples are stunned into silence. But it is Thomas who steps forward. His voice shakes, but his words are defiant. "Let us go," he says, "that we may die with him." In that moment, his fear is overshadowed by a fierce, if fragile, loyalty. His faith, though darkened by foreboding, is real. He is willing to follow, even into the shadow of death. The night in Gethsemane is heavy with dread. Twisted olive trees stand like silent witnesses under the moonlight as Jesus prays. Thomas kneels nearby, sweat and dust streaking his face. He sees the flicker of torches in the distance, like fireflies signaling an approaching storm. He watches, frozen, as soldiers lead Jesus away in chains. As the others scatter, Thomas backs away into the shadows, his breath fogging in the cool night air, disappearing into the darkness. The foundation of his world has just crumbled. In the days that follow, the disciples huddle together in a small, mud-brick house, their hope extinguished. Thomas sits apart, his eyes hollow, his cloak torn. He is a man lost in his own grief and confusion. Then, Mary Magdalene bursts in, breathless, her face alight with impossible joy. "He is risen," she cries. The others erupt in celebration, but Thomas remains in his corner, unmoved. The news doesn't spark joy, it deepens his pain. He's afraid to hope again, terrified of being broken a second time. His voice cracks as he speaks the words that will define him for centuries. Unless I see the nail marks in his hands and put my finger where the nails were, and put my hand into his side, I will not believe. He leaves them, walking alone through the desolate landscape, the wind whipping his tattered cloak. Each step is heavy, his unbelief a physical weight. He feels abandoned not just by his master, but by his own capacity for faith. Kneeling by a dry stream, he sees his reflection in a shallow puddle, a face distorted by dust and doubt. The cracked earth around him seems to mirror his own fractured soul. The other disciples call him back, and he returns, his body hunched with a shame he can't shake. He enters the locked room where the others are gathered. The air is thick with anticipation. And then, it happens. A light, brilliant and blinding, fills the space. Jesus is standing among them. Thomas drops his staff. The breath is ripped from his lungs as he falls to his knees, overcome with terror and awe. Jesus holds out his hands. The wounds are real. They glisten in the strange light. Thomas's own hands tremble as he reaches out. He hesitates for just a second, then his fingers touch the wounds. It is the proof he demanded, but it feels less like a victory and more like a surrender. Tears cut clean lines through the grime on his face. His lips move, but the words are a breath, a prayer, a confession. My Lord and my God, in that raw, human moment, a lifetime of doubt is washed away by a single touch. As the vision of Jesus fades, Thomas is left kneeling in the center of the room, transformed. The light that falls upon him feels like both judgment and mercy. He stands slowly, his face wet with tears. The man who was lost is now found. He steps outside. The world, once gray with grief, now glows with a golden light. The sound of distant thunder fades, replaced by a quiet, unshakable resolve. His journey of doubt is over. His journey of faith has just begun. Thomas walks out into the world, a small figure crossing an endless plain. He is no longer the man who follows, but the man who leads. He travels to faraway lands, his cloak patched and stained from the road. He crosses rivers under a harsh sun, heals the sick under the shade of acacia trees, and stands before foreign villagers, his calm figure outlined against the setting sun. His voice is quiet, patient. He no longer needs to see to believe. His mission is to help others believe without seeing. He teaches with gestures, with symbols drawn in the sand, sharing a faith that has been forged in the crucible of his own doubt. He is no longer the skeptic, he is the witness. One day, on a hill, he raises a rough wooden cross, its shadow stretching long across the land. He knows his path will end as his master's did. When the soldiers come for him, he does not run. He rises slowly, his eyes steady, and opens his arms. On his palms, the faint scars are still visible. Do what you must, he murmurs. He falls to his knees, his final breath a whisper of prayer. His followers carry his body to the sea, and the sky fades to gray. They mark his grave with a small mound of stones. But the story doesn't end there. Near the stones, a single green seedling sprouts, trembling in the wind. A fragile symbol of life against the endless dust. A legacy of faith, born from the deepest doubt. And in that, we hear the echo of a timeless truth. Blessed are those who have not seen, and yet have believed. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories of faith, history, and the human spirit.